Welcome to the this subject is quantitative techniques for the managers. Subject code for the KMBN 206. Okay, this is the operation research in this subject. Okay, and unit first lecture second for introduction of the operation research. Okay, this is the very interesting subject of the MBA students and some of the engineering students. Okay, and the industrial purpose this is subject is most important and application in the industrial and some of the big and small and medium size of the products for completion in application of this subject. Okay, and some of the decision making of the managers, industrial managers, and the marketing managers and operation managers. Some different field of the managers is the most important of the subject for of the most important of the subject for take for the decisions. Okay, and higher study of the scientists and researchers is a need for this subject. Okay, is this subject is very important subject. Okay, agenda for today present in this video and introductions of the operation research and some of the historical some of the history of the view of the point and discuss for the about to the operation research. Okay, and last lecture I also for discuss for some of the point and operation research. Okay, definition of the operation research and some of the and definition of the operation research and also for operation the operation research is the application of the operation research and some of objective main objective of the operation research and the application of the operation research and some of the take a model study of scientific study of the operation research. Okay, and the operation research also for application in the operation research also used for the some of critical in knowledge and the scientifically and mathematical study. All the point of view is discussed for the last lectures. Okay, and start for this is the subject for the most important for introduction to the operation research and the second point is the some of the history of the history of the operation research is the why the development of the operation research of the subject operation research subject क्यों डेवलप किया गया. Okay, I discuss for the some of point in this video and I discuss for about to you. Okay, and the quantitative techniques for the managers. Okay, this is subject is the most important I say that. Okay, and procured for stress and the operation research of operation research is also for the applied science. Okay, the operation research also used in the applied science. Suppose that the applied science is the physical models, some of the physical models. Okay, and the electric towers. Okay, some of the electric energy distributions of the use in the towers. Okay, some of the towers and poles used for the analyticals of the study of the operation research is the applied science. Okay, second is the option is the states. Okay, some of the statics for operation research is the scientific methodology. Okay, and according to the operation research in the some of scientifically is the analytical mathematically and the quantitative of the is provided for the some of the tools of the mathematical tools of the operation research provided to mathematical tools and analyticals of applied science. Okay, and engineers, some of the tools for engineers and the psychologicals and some of the managers for take for decisions in study for the operation research. Okay, which be the essence assessing for the overall implications of the various alternatives for the courses i- of actions in a management systems. Okay, some of the actions is the also for in the management section as take for the decisions of the management of the industrial management and the healthcare management and some hospitals management and the industries of the management, some of the large area of the government of the management for the large of the industry and some of the sons used in the college, universities, hospitals, all the bankings sectors and some of the civils projects in for the sense is by the sense of the implication of various alternative courses of action in the management system. The management students is also for creative for more knowledge in the operation research. Okay, and quantitative techniques for operation managers and management system provided to the uh, improve for basis of management decisions. Okay, some of the management and directors of the management stake for the decisions of continue in improvement of the in improve for the efficiency of the systems of the industrials and the college, hospitals, all the systems in the increase for the efficiency and efficiency according take for the management decisions. Okay, according to the operation research subject. Okay, and some of the history of the operation research. Okay, I said that discuss for last lectures one video one slide in the operation research after start for the second world war. Okay, second विश्व युद्ध के बाद operation research okay is started for the this subject. Operation research is the relatively to new disciplines. Okay, operation research is the new disciplines and new take for the decisions. Okay, completion for the project and whereas the 70 years ago 70 years ago it the would have been possible to study for mathematics. Okay, had 70 years would have the possible for study of the mathematical and physical study mathematical study and physical study of the engineering for the examples of at the university it should not have been possible. यानी कि 70 ईयर्स पहले मैथमेटिकल और फिजिक्स की स्टडी करना इम्पॉसिबल था. Okay, engineering for example universities. Okay, universities would not have been possible to study for operation research. Okay, operation research की स्टडी करना इम्पॉसिबल था. Ended to the operation research did not exist then. जब operation research नहीं था. Okay, it was the really only in the late for the 1930. Okay, 1930 that the operation research began in the is the systematic function and it the attract in the UK, United Kingdom. Okay, the it was the really it is the real study is the really of the only in the last in the late of the 1930. Okay, the operation research began माने start होना the operation research start हुई in the systematically एक systems एक systematically function एक function के and it the started in the United Kingdom. Okay, operation research 1930 में start in the एक systematically start हुई in United Kingdom देश. Okay, the operation research yearly in the 1936. Okay, in the British air military established. Okay, the British the operation research co in earlier for the 1936 started for the British of government of the British, and the started for the air military established. Okay, air military established Vesti for research stations. Some of the air stations and air military stations in a study for the research situations on the sea of coast near for the flexible stone and full. Okay, some of the scientists use for the in near for the flux wheel or the so folklore as the center wise all the wear of the radars. Okay, where all the pre-orders for experiments for both of the Air Force and Army would be carried out. Some of this is the operation research also in British government in 1936 in applications of the air military systems and airport in use for this operation research and some of flexi Howard and Fluke for center who are the experiment. This is the experiment of the operation research in both of the air force and the army would be carried out in use for the operation research. Okay, the the experimental the also for history of the operation research experimental radar for equipment. Some of the radars and equipment was the brought up to the high state of reliability and range of over the 100 miles on aircraft where the obtained. The also for the experimental radars equipment used for the high state of reliability and resources for 100 miles of aircraft where the obtained for. It was also in 1936 uh, that the Royal Air Force RAF Royal Air Force. Okay, some of the point discussed for the some of the Royal Air Force fighter command. Some of the fighter command changed the space, specifically with the air defense. Okay, with the air defense, Britain's was first decided to the operation research. It the blockade, however, any ineffective high aircraft, ineffective of the high fight aircraft. No, the Hermetians, okay, Hermetians and aspirated to hand come out into the service and no radar data. Okay, was it feed into the it is the very uh, elementary for wiring and the control of the system according to the operation research in use for the 1936 in British government in use for the operation air force and army of both are the military actions used for the some of the experimental okay study for the operation research. This earlier for work attempting to the integrated radar data with the ground-based observed data for fighter fighter interconnection was the sort of the operation research in the analytical study and the mathematical of the analysis of the data. This is earlier work for attempting to the integrated radar that would ground based on the observation data for the use of the operation research. And third is the 1937, the first of three major failure of the air defense eh, exercise. Okay, some of the air defense exercise of the use for operation research was carried out in the summer of the 1937. Okay, some of the other experiment of the operation research in first of three major pre-war air defense systems and carry out the experimental radar stations at the this research such stations were the brought into the operation and the information derived from it was the feed into the journal air defense warming and control for the system. So, okay. Operation research is also third use in the experimental of the radar system for the research stations were brought into the operation and some of the information derived from it the feed into the journal of the warming and that for the operation research according to control for the control system of the radar. For the earlier warming point of view, there is the exercise was the encouraging, but the mm, tracking for information, okay, or radar information tracking to the experimental of the operation research information obtained from the radars after the filtering and transmission system used for some other for control of the display network. Okay, control for the display network in application is the also for display of the radar systems and other is the other information for take to the network was the very for satisfactory of the command is the very important for factors of the operation research in use for the others for experimental study for the 1938. Other experimental research for the 1938 of the in the July 1938 to the second major of defense exercise was carried out for the operation research in generated to the operation research intake for the other end of the information of the system and attractive for the radar of the noise for the radar options and history of the operation research is continue develop for the some of the point discussed in this for the four additional for radar situations had been for installations along to the costed for each of the deposit to the some of the uh, to techniques for tools in now where for the aircraft locations tracking to the radars. Okay, and 1938 for and control for the uh, greatly for improved both in the coverage of the effectiveness of the aircraft. Okay, and according to the aircraft system I take for the need for the coordinations. Okay, and the British now had for aircraft locations and control system generally improved by the coverage of the effectiveness. This was the need to the coordinate and the correlated to the additional and often the conflicting and information revised for the some of the operation research informed to the received for the additional radar situations. Okay, the real the operation research is also for discuss for the some of the tools techniques and tools used for the control the tracking for the aircraft complete for additional and conflicting to information received from the additional of the radar situation. The sum of the real situation is a tracking for the of radars with the outbreak for where the is appropriately for in immunized for it was the various that is the something now the destructive to the necessary bed for the completing for attempt to the sum of situations of the radar and take for according to the operation research. This is the very typical product for decision taking for the moment of the machines and some of discuss for other problems is the now some of new approaches for need to the operation research is the is the very old person is the 70 years after for start to the after started to the second world war, okay, and the discuss for the very necessary to the and second is the also experiment study to the 1936 and third study for the 1936 and fourth study for the experimental study for the 1938, okay. The 4 and 5 is the practically analysis and experimental study for the mathematical some of the scientific methods and tools and technical used for the operation research is the some of new approaches and discuss deals for the product and designs and history of the continued operation research. I discuss for the some of the very techniques used for the topics accordingly to on the determinations of the exercise some of the exercise and applications of the operation research and real study of analysis of the mathematical models and the project some of the they consider for the project and for the select for the strategy of the completion of the project and discuss the super important to the bodies for research situations for the uh, air crews for them and some of situations for the operation research is the applications of the and application of the announced to that for the exercise had been the demonstrated that the technical flexibility of the radar systems for the determining for the aircraft systems it the operationals and achievement for the stealth for he is sort of the equipment some of the real study and recruitment of the project and discuss for the some of the experimentals and the technical is the technical study for the real project and the determining of the conventional on operation achievement still for fear of the sort and equipment some of the equipment used for the analysis of the mathematical proof here the therefore the approaches for use for case of the programs for research into the operational and appropriate to the technical study and for the system should be the beginning to the immediately some of the operation research and tools provided to the experimentals for the research and analytical methods used for the some mathematical and physical of the into the optional for approaches for the technical and aspect for that is would be begin to the immediately for start. So some of the operation research is the most important for teams purpose, okay. Second is the use for the operation research is the operation research is also considered as the suitable disciplines and some are minor and deal with in- the new of the branches of applied science, okay. The applied science is the use for the operation research is the consider for the operation of the and manager for suitable for disciplines and discuss for the new project start for the start and close for the project. The first team for the select for the against to the one teams, and second is the use for the mathematically study, and the physical of the science, and scientific methods used for the logical science. There is the radar for other is the research group for the someday. Okay, one day is the other research team, and second is the other research teams also for take for the different teams, and select for the different persons use and tools and techniques we use for the operation research, and complete for the project. Okay, and thank you so much, dear students.